Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of Talk About It Tuesday. I'm outside walking. I'm not trying to actively participate in debates, but there is one thing that I am standing firm on speaking about because I really want to give a voice to people who don't have a voice to speak up for themselves and don't understand what life's gonna look like when these things are set into motion, if they are. And I'm talking about making the legal consent age of 14 and why, in my personal opinion, I feel like, look, hold on, it's August. Looks like straight up fall around here, and that's crazy. Looks like October. I don't know what's going on with this universe, but holy shit. Anyway, so I'm talking about what would it look like, honestly, if you are looking, because I went to law school, I didn't finish, but if you are logistically learning the news that they want to make the consent age of 14, why? What is this about? And what would it entail realistically for your 14-year-old teenager? So in my opinion, I'm just going to shoot this out there and then I'll explain the legal side. But I feel states like Utah would particularly benefit from the legal consent age of 14 because there's a lot of cults and religious communities that marry young girls off to older men that they've been having a strong problem with, and although they're protected by religious or cult-like rules, they're getting heat on their neck. So this would enable these cults and religious communities to basically promise their daughters to someone at birth. And at 14, most young girls have their periods so that they can produce children. So that's a disgusting fact that doesn't sit well with me. Then you have the sex trafficking in our country. I'm trying to whisper because there is a kids park right there, and I don't want to say this loudly, but this is my concern. I know the Epstein files don't exist, but I don't believe that they don't exist, and I feel like a lot of people would benefit if the consent age was lowered. And then miraculously, if they get their wish and it is lowered, there is one after all. I feel like a lot of people have died trying to get this list out to the public, and it's crazy, but that's what I believe. I also feel like the consent of 14-year-olds, so if you think about what they're doing with school kids, and they're making the lunch is 20 minutes, and they're making it more of a strict rule on how many days they can take off at 14, they're probably going to want these kids to go out and work. So making 14 the legal consent age, they can sign themselves out of school and go work for the government and make the government tax dollars, and I'm very concerned about that. That's enslaving my children and my country. That's making cults and religious communities able to sell their own young daughters to the highest bidder for dowry. Like, this is 1812, and I'm not fucking okay with that. Those girls don't get a say. They're born and bred into these cults and communities. They don't know any different to even have a different say, and that alone is abuse. And by condoning the consent age of 14, it's giving these religious cults and organizations the powers they need to continue to torture our children. This fucking country is fucked up legally, and they can't go in and take those kids because they're a religious organization, and church and state are separate. They can literally hide behind a fake-ass cloth and fill out a paper and make a fake-ass religious organization just to sell children. And this has been going on forever. Like, sex trafficking in this country has been horrific since the invention of this country. We're built on slavery. We're built on selling people like they're nothing. And it's naive to think that they're not still doing that. and this is only going to benefit them legally for consequences. They're not really worth much before 14. You know? It's disgusting. Like, I just don't understand why this is even being discussed. Think about your teenage child at 14. They can't even remember what they need for school the next day. They're always forgetting shit. They can't get their shit together. They're an emotional fucking wreck. And so maybe this 14-year-old girl comes from a broken home and some rich fucking sleazy fucking asshole takes her shopping, takes her out to eat, wines and dines her. Or like what the industry does to young teen girls, just fucking glamoring them and making them into industry, you know, basically walking sex dolls for people to imagine. It's just making it easy, and like hurts my fucking soul that this is even on the table. And the fact that I have to sweat whether the Supreme Court, the highest level of the Supreme Court, is going to allow this, because I don't know. He set the cards in this house that we are fucked for generations to come. He's already priming who's coming in behind him if he doesn't get his presidency extended. And they're all going to be his order. Like, I guarantee you, if he doesn't get the extended presidency, he's going to, I don't know what the rules are, be in some way, it's still in the political organization, and he's going to keep slipping in. And you know, I don't understand how nobody realizes this is indentured servitude of our children for both factory industry work and for horrible and horrific reasons. And what if your 14-year-old comes to you and says, I'm in love with this guy? You got in their head, fucking brainwashed them. This person's like 40 years old, and since it's the age of consent, you can't stop your kid from going to marry this fucking creep and joining his fucking cult or whatever. You get no say because your 14-year-old has the say in what she should do sexually or he should do sexually, when they can't even get their shit together at 14. And why should they? They're children. They're just figuring out their independence at that age. They're just getting pubic hair and their periods. Their hormones are raging. They're easily manipulated. They're naive. They have very little life skills. Sometimes more, especially for hood kids like me. They're even more vulnerable. Everybody thinks a hood kid is disposable. They're just going to start taking 14-year-olds off the street and being like, they gave consent, and forcing them to fucking sign it at gunpoint. Don't give them that power. Don't even fucking entertain it. What have I been trying to change? And legally, like I said, that would be the changes. Your child at 14 would have a say in getting married. They would have a say in having a child. They would have a say in what they do with their bodies. You know, think about it in another way. They came out with some crazy fucking vaccine that they want to push, and they can brainwash your kids with all these commercials and fake news and media. You need to get this shot. So your 14-year-old thinks they know everything, and they line up for this fucking shot, and you can't stop them as the adult, like asking the questions like, who has this been testing on? What's the side effects? And your 14-year-old's just following the sheep, and they get something horrific that later, like, traumatizes their life, and you have no control over it. Say, you know, if your kid wants to play sport, maybe they're gonna do some crazy fucking list of things, and at 14, your kid can just sign off on it. They can question your kid in a courtroom at 14 instead of 18, you know? Legal consent goes a long way. Like, your kid can get arrested, questioned, handled, and treated like an adult with very little to no evidence. You are charged and then have to go through a court system. Do you think they always get it right the first time? And how damaging is that going to be for your 14-year-old? Like, why are homeless being illegal? Like, what the fuck does that even do? You know?